of you. And now, Kerby Anderson.
Thank you for joining me today, and welcome to Truth Team 360. I hope you can be with us for the entire week, because we're going to be covering lots of important issues, but also coming to you to encourage you to support this ministry. And in studio with us today, Brad Fisk, an individual that is probably familiar to many of you that have been listening for some time, because he's been on with us as we've done these Truth Team 360 events. But I recognize, Brad, we've got some new stations, so we need to educate everybody.
We do. I'm happy to be here, and very excited to see what God is going to do this week, Kerby. You know, there's certain times in the life of a ministry, the life of a family, the life of an institution or whatever, a business, that there's a landmark. This is going to be a landmark planting event. And I really believe that this week, that's exactly what's going to happen. We are going to see God do some things he's never done before with Point of View. Why? Because I believe God, in fact, I know, my Bible tells me he stands for 100% righteousness and truth.
Yes. And again, one of the things we're very concerned about, Brad, is the fact that we live in a society today that isn't necessarily moving towards biblical values,
That's
isn't
true.
necessarily moving towards truth. Matter of fact, if you want an opinion, you were watching a fair amount of cable television this weekend because you came into town early, and you don't normally watch that.
Right.
You recognize you can get just about any kind of opinion on any possible subject you can think of, right?
Everybody in the world seems to have an opinion, and they get a camera or a microphone in front of them, and away they go. We will be no different, by the way. I'm not pointing fingers at us because, again, but there's some huge differences here. We are all about truth,
right,
with a capital T. And, oh my goodness, has that been illustrated bigger and better, you might say, or worse, than this past several months?
Yes. Well, and again, one of the themes that we'll run through this week is whether or not we're going to allow non-truth or truth to reign in society. And in just a few minutes, we're going to be talking with Gary Bauer. Of course, he's been an individual that worked in the Reagan administration, also a presidential candidate. I'm sure he's going to have a few things to talk about in terms of his campaign this year. And then in the second hour, we'll have Louie Gohmert. But let's, if we can, for just a few minutes, explain again this idea of Truth Team 360. 360, of course, is the idea that for people that can support this ministry for $1 a day, $30 a month, $360 for the year, they can really become part of the financial foundation so that we can continue bringing these programs to people every single day.
That's right, and it's no mistake that there happens to be 360 degrees on a compass, and that's kind of the symbol we use. And what that means, though, is we're looking on all sides. We introduce you to the liberal ideas, the conservative ideas. We are giving you the information so that you can help us. Together, we arrive at the truth. And we do that. It costs money to do what we do.
Sure.
And so we come to you a couple times a year and say, could you help us financially make a difference for eternity? And there has never been a more critical time, in my lifetime anyway, to see truth rise up above the clutter.
Yes.
And actually make a difference in people's lives. Again, it's not about parties. It's not about candidates. It's about the truth, the biblical truth of Jesus Christ and of the Lord permeating our every step that we take in life.
Well, and again, we're talking right now about the fact that everything from transgender bathrooms to the threat of ISIS to the campaign season. In just a minute, we're going to be talking with Gary Bauer, the what if, what happens if certain individuals are elected to the presidency, to Congress, or the governor's office. I think we're recognizing now that some of the issues we're talking about happen at the local level. So to pay attention to who your mayor is, to pay attention to who your governor is, to pay attention to who's in your legislature,
That's right,
in addition to those people that you send to Congress or actually set into the White House. And again, we have, Brad, people that have called in and say, I don't hardly even listen to the news anymore because I've come to recognize that you're a valued resource and you're all about giving us the truth. And as I've said before, no topic is off the table. And today we'll be talking about a lot of different topics as we talk about that with Gary Bauer. And later on, Louie Gohmert will be talking about Israel and ISIS. All sorts of issues we'll be covering.
That's true. And again, we go back to what we're trying to do here is we're giving you an opportunity this week to join the Truth Team. Now, we welcome a gift of any amount.
Yes.
But we're really focused on that 360. And just as an incentive, if I could just introduce this, we have a really cool little device called the Bible Stick. It's by Faith Comes by Hearing, designed by them. And this little MP3 player, that's right, it's a player.
Yes.
It's not a thumb drive. This is preloaded with the entire English Standard Version New Testament.
Yes.
Music, sound effects, dramatized, numerous different voices, very, very easy to listen to. And for everybody who joins this week at that $360 level or more, we're going to send you one of these as a thank you gift. Is that cool?
That is, and we've talked about that on the program before, but we've never made it available. We've interviewed some of the people that have been involved in providing something like that to the military, for example. That's
right. Faith Comes Right Here and has a whole separate ministry.
Yes.
Has a military version of this. But this is a version for you. Comes with the battery. It comes with the headsets, little earbuds, and it's ready to go. And it's yours for the asking. The pledge line to make your pledge of $360 or more is 800-347-5151. That's 800-347-5151, and you can always give online too.
We certainly can. And again, that is pointofview.net/team, or simply go to Point of View and you will see the opportunity there to click on that button. And I might mention, for those that want to give a little bit more, we figured out a long time ago that if you just wanted to sponsor a minute a month, that's $65 a month.
There you go.
And again, I know people don't give to get, but for those of you watching online, we have this tumbler and journal set, and it has this leather look to it, and the tumbler so you can be drinking your coffee or tea or whatever, and then it has a journal so that you can journal some of the things you're learning. And so we're making that available for anybody that gives at the $65 a month level. And if you give at the $100 a month level, I give you the opportunity to have all of those.
You can have both. That's right.
So pretty nice. So again, those are some things that we will be talking about throughout the program. But what we really encourage you to do is, since we do have people standing by, just even before we get to our interview with Gary Bauer, this would be just a great time to call. It really would be an encouragement to some of the people sitting around waiting for the phones to ring, because we're just now getting started.
We're looking for that leadership gift this week. Who's going to step out and be a leader and be that first giver at 800-347-5151. That's 800-347-5151. And by the way, when you go on the website, you can see what the Bible stick looks like and the other gifts as well. They'll be right there.
So let me just encourage you to do that, and we'd love to hear from you, especially as you go to a break. I know that sometimes, Brad, people say, I only want to call during the break because I don't want to miss all the content. In a minute, we're going to be talking with Gary Bauer. We'll get into some of the issues. Matter of fact, each day we post some of the articles. We've posted an article by Gary Bauer called The Courts and Common Sense. We don't exactly have a lot of common sense right now.
We got to have you talk about that for sure.
So we're going to get into that.
Yes.
Also, by the way, as you become one of our Truth Team members, you also receive the Outlook magazine, and the issue that's just now arriving to those people who've already signed up, and we'll be glad to send it to you as well, talks about what happens in the Supreme Court. What happens if indeed we have certain people become the president, and what happens with those individuals. And I take you through in my article the 5-4 decisions that have gone our way, some have gone against us, and what that means in the future. So this is a real benefit. So let me encourage you right now as we go to our break. This is why we'd love to start hearing from some of you that would say, I'd like to give to this ministry. And you might be one of those $1 a day, $30 a month, or maybe $65 a month, $100 a month. The pledge line number is 1-800-347-5151, 1-800-347-5151. We'd love to get some of your phone calls in, and when we come back, we'll have a chance to talk with Gary Bauer.
Well, indeed. That phone number one more time, 800-347-5151. Looking for 5 of you right now. 5 people. Let's go to the phones.
Okay, we'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll have a chance to talk with Gary Bauer, get a perspective on the what if in this presidential election. 1-800-347-5151. Give us a call. We'll be back right after this.
This is Viewpoints with Kerby Anderson.
Last Monday, the Supreme Court heard oral arguments on the immigration case against President Obama. The lower courts ruled that the president acted unilaterally in issuing his order that would allow as many as 5 million illegal aliens to remain in the country without any fear of deportation. The issue at stake is much larger than immigration and deportation. What's at stake is whether the president could actually issue executive orders that bypass the legislative process. President Obama has been issuing these types of orders for years without much criticism from the mainstream press. Something changed with this order. The editors at USA Today said that it would be a mistake for the Supreme Court to allow the president to do this, and thus argued that the court should declare his action unconstitutional. My initial reaction was, where were these editors when this president was issuing his over 200 executive orders? The answer to the sudden conversion at USA Today can be found in the third to the last paragraph in the editorial. The editors argue that the problem with giving this authority to President Obama is that it could set a precedent and give this president and the next president sweeping authority. They said the same people who think Obama should have these broad powers over immigration enforcement will feel differently if a Republican wins the White House in November. Ah, yes, the sauce for the Democratic goose cannot be given to the Republican gander. To drive the point home, they even tell the readers to imagine what orders Ted Cruz or Donald Trump would issue if elected president. Now, to be fair, Ted Cruz has promised to return the government to a constitutional foundation. But Donald Trump, however, might simply remind the press that they had no problem with how President Obama used power. He was planning to do the same. You know, few complained when President Obama wrote executive orders, so they really can't complain if a President Trump does as well. I'm Kerby Anderson, and that's my point of view.
For more information about issues covered on Viewpoints, visit pointofview.net. Pointofview.net. Point of View, Truth Team 360, John Stonestreet.
As a speaker and author, I host my own radio program as well, but finding someone who asks really good questions and is really prepared that's not always the case. Kerby is a great interviewer. Always appreciate the depth to which he takes whatever topic we're talking about, whether it's my a recent book or whether it's something going on in the news. Kerby understands the issue, and he knows how to ask the right questions to get at the heart of things. We all know how rare it is to get the sort of cutting-edge biblical analysis of current events and cultural issues that you get every single day at Point of View. But Point of View can't do it without the support of listeners. I encourage it. If you benefit from Point of View, show your appreciation by praying for the ministry and seriously consider financially supporting Point of View. The church needs what it provides.
Point of View, Truth Team 360.
John Stonestreet talking about in studio some of the things that he appreciates about a Point of View. And Brad, I met him when he had just graduated from college, so I've seen him rise as now the commentator of Breakpoint and the books that he's written and all the rest. But John Stonestreet certainly is a great friend of this ministry. And one of the more reasons for you to consider what you might do to join with our Truth Team 360, your gift of $1 a day, $30 a month, really entitles you to become a member of the Truth Team. And that, of course, we talked about some of the benefits, the Bible stick, as well as for those of you that give in at a higher level. We have the 16-ounce tumbler and journal set and all sorts of other resources, including the Outlook. But just before we talk with Gary Bauer, I think you have an announcement for us.
We do. I'm very, very excited to let you know that we have a friend of the ministry that is coming alongside of us and saying, you know what, let's have some fun with my gift. We're going to do a $3,000 match challenge starting right now, which means every call that comes in with a gift of $360 or more will be matched. A gift of $5 a month or more, $100 or more, up to that $3,000 level. So any monthly gift, any single gift, and it'll be matched dollar for dollar, up to $3,000. That's exciting.
1-800-347-5151, and you can call. And I would encourage you to do so as you're listening to the interview we're going to do now with Gary Bauer. Of course, he's with American Values, served, of course, in Ronald Reagan's administration as chief domestic policy advisor, was a presidential candidate. I'm sure he's going to have a few things to say about the presidential election this year. And Gary Bauer, always great to have you on the program with us on Point of View.
Well, it's great to be with you as always. The only thing I have to say about the presidential race is I ran in the wrong year.
You got that right.
Oh, boy, what a great line. You know, one of the things that we would like to do is kind of talk about what if, and maybe we'll get to the Supreme Court in just a minute, but some things have changed in North Carolina, Georgia, Mississippi, and we always encourage people to get your end-of-day report. And on Wednesday, you talked about the courts versus common sense. Now, what you're actually pointing out is that when you look at the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals, I'm not sure we're seeing a whole lot of common sense when it comes to this category of transgender bathrooms. What about this?
Yeah, I really can't believe we're now having this debate. I was still trying to adjust to the fact that we've redefined marriage, even though state after state voted to keep it the union of one man and one woman. But as you alluded to, there's been a court decision in this appeals court that basically ordered a school district in Virginia to provide the right, as they put it, for a transgender individual to use the restroom that corresponded with the gender that person thought they were rather than the gender they were born as. And that because of the level of that federal court, that ruling arguably is it has standing in a number of states, including the whole state of Virginia and North Carolina and so forth. So it looks like another example of the kind of judicial activism we've seen over and over again for probably 40 years now, in which the courts do the dirty work that liberal politicians usually are afraid to do on their own, to actually vote on the record for it. So they count on the courts to ram radical social change down our throats. And as a movement, we've had a very difficult time trying to figure out how to counteract that.
Gary, Brad here, and I've got 9 children, 21 grandkids, and I think of those children. I think of them growing up on a culture like this. Is there any end to this madness that you see? Is there anything we can do? I get really upset about stuff like this because it makes no sense. It's absolutely ludicrous, yet it's out there right now happening in reality.
Well, Brad, you're absolutely right, and I can hear the angst in your voice, and I hear it over and over again every place that I travel around the country. The only thing I can say with certainty is I know the frustration level is getting higher and higher. I know people have an increasing sense of being on the edge of an abyss, that the country's on the verge of literally being ripped out of its Judeo-Christian roots and have that replaced with something that it's hard even to describe what it is. So I don't know exactly how it's all going to play out, but I don't believe that unelected judges and a small group of far-left social engineers are going to be able to continue to order the American people to do things and accept things that go not only against our faith, but also against common sense. I assume that somehow there will be a reaction at the ballot box or in some other way that puts us on a course to correct some of this. But I must admit that right now it's hard to see exactly what that's going to be and when it happens.
Gary, I was just thinking that we certainly point people to your ministry, American Values, and the End of Day Report, including the one we've posted today, The Courts versus Common Sense. And whether it's an interview we do with you or a variety of other people, we find that oftentimes that's another very important ministry that we have, and that is just providing some resources, some facts, some figures that they can then use on their Facebook page, in a letter to the editor, even a conversation they have with their other friends. So I really encourage people, if they've appreciated some of the information we've been providing, 1-800-347-5151 is your opportunity to have your gift doubled right now. But Gary, what would you say about the importance of that kind of information and perspective?
Kerby, it's absolutely essential. As you know, I have this little end-of-day report. You referred to it a little earlier. And often people will write me and encourage me for doing this end-of-day report. But the reason I bring it up is not to push that, but I'm always amazed how often people will say, Mr. Bauer, I don't really listen to the evening network news anymore. I rely on your end-of-day report and point of view to get the information I need that I can trust in order to counter the things that are going on in every community in America that often we don't hear about from the so-called mainstream media. So, Kerby, I've often said I'm always proud to be in the same foxhole with you, but we're definitely in the same foxhole. I think without programs like yours and stations, the network like yours, and the work that we're doing and other groups out there, I think, unfortunately, we'd be a lot further down this slide that we're in the last couple of decades against reliable standards of right and wrong.
Let's, if we can, just hear what one of the callers had to say about a point of view.
I think Kerby Anderson, yet humble man, very gracious in his responses, which makes him the perfect host for the Point of View radio program. I think Point of View is very worthy Christian ministry, and that listeners should support this ministry. I'll encourage everyone to do so who can.
Boy, thank you for that. I'll bet you right now, I just bet you guys, there are dozens and hundreds and thousands of listeners right this minute that are saying, this is insanity what's going on with this bathroom stuff. This is insanity trying to redefine gender and whatever. So I'm just asking you, if you're feeling that we got to do something, there's a really good something you could do, and that's right now. Give us a call at 800-347-5151. That's a toll-free number, 800-347-5151. And remember, every dollar you give right now is matched, and every gift of $360 or more a year, the Bible stick from Faith Comes by Hearing is going to be yours, and that's an incredible gift.
We're coming to a break, so this would be a great time for you to give us a call, and when we come back, we'll spend a little bit more time talking with Gary Bauer, kind of asking the what-if question. But before we do so, I'm agreeing with Brad. This is a time when, number one, we really need to hear from you. Number two, we have that match on the table, and I did see one or two phone calls, but still, we got to make sure that we cover that, because that was the request of the donor that said, I'd like to just encourage people to give, and so this is an opportunity for you to see right now a dollar for dollar opportunity. So that means your gift of $1 a day becomes $2 a day. $30 a month becomes $60 a month. Perhaps you want to give at the $65 a month level and sponsor a minute a month. Well, that becomes a lot more. 100 becomes 200. So again, 1-800-347-5151. As we go to a break, we need to hear from you. So again, please give a call, 1-800-347-5151. We'll be right back.
This is an incredibly important week for Point of View. We need to build our war chest to get us through the election season. This week, we need you to step up and join the team. Just as a political campaign cannot get its message out without donor support, Point of View must have friends like you as we head into the final leg of this presidential race. Imagine Hillary Clinton in the White House. Think of what justices she would nominate to the Supreme Court. The next president is likely going to shape our highest court for several decades, and Point of View wants to provide a biblical perspective of all of the issues in this year's campaign. But we cannot do it, we simply can't, without you. Please step up now as a monthly partner. Click the Join the Truth Team button at pointofview.net and choose your level. Stretch a bit. Or call 1-800-347-5151. Pointofview.net and 1-800-347-5151. 1-800-347-5151. Point of View will continue after this.
You're listening to Point of View. The opinions expressed on Point of View do not necessarily reflect the views of the management or staff of this station. And now, here again is Kerby Anderson.
Back once again, it is Truth Team 360 week, and this is just an opportunity for you to learn from a number of guests. And our guest at the moment is Gary Bauer of American Values, and we have a link on his website. Brad Fisk in studio with me, and again, we are encouraging you as we go through the day to encourage your financial support. And Brad, we have in particular a $3,000 match gift on the table. So that means any gift. Your $1 a day becomes $2 a day. Your $30 a month becomes $60 a month. Your $100 a month becomes $200 a month. It's a pretty good deal.
It is indeed. And, you know, many of you listening for the very first time to a Truth Team Week have never taken the opportunity to join. And, you know, that's the vast majority of our audience, by the way. Some of you have been listening for 30 years. Yes. And you tell us when you call, I've never given before, but. Yes. So let's change the but. Let's go ahead and have you join us and with your very best gift, and it will be doubled up to $3,000. And again, I think this is the best premium we've ever had. This is just my personal opinion. This is a Bible stick with the entire New Testament preloaded on this tiny little MP3 player. Now, it's not something you load on your computer or whatever. That's not what it is. It's an actual listening device. It's like a little miniature transistor radio, but it's tuned to the Word of God 24/7, 365, if you look at it that way.
Oh, it's
so
really
give
good.
us a call, 800-347-5151. Do you think what's crazy is going on around here? You think it's a nutty time? It is. Let us bring truth and continue to do that. Be strong. 800-347-5151. I
might just mention that just because of some of the work you've done, we picked up 2 new stations in Kentucky, and Gary Bauer is originally from Kentucky. And then Friday announced that we had one in Tennessee, and I announced that when we had, of course, Kelly Shackelford, because he's originally from Tennessee. And then I think we got one coming up in Nebraska. We picked up some in Virginia and all sorts of things. So, Gary Bauer, if nothing else, in your home area, we're certainly getting more and more people having a chance to hear some of the things that you say here on Point of View.
Well, that's fantastic news, Kerby. I think you're going to continue to grow. You know, if there's an upside to this left-wing media bias, it's that the alternatives, the outlets, the publications, the newsletters that speak from a Judeo-Christian worldview and are based on timeless truths, they're growing too, as people look for information and news that they can rely on and bank on and know that it's true.
Let's, if we can, talk about maybe or answer the question, what if? Our latest issue of Outlook has a picture of Antonin Scalia on the front, but in one of the articles, Gary, I take us through a list, and it's a pretty dismal list, of these Supreme Court decisions that have come down 5-4. 5-4 on First Amendment issues, 5-4 on religious liberty issues, on Second Amendment issues, a 5-4 decision on partial birth abortion, a 5-4 decision that went the other way on marriage. We can go through that long list. What happens if the next president has liberal or progressive values and puts more people on the court that look like some of the ones that have been put on the court more recently?
Well, I think we would suffer a breathtaking loss of constitutional rights and liberties. Kerby, you and I have talked about this over the years, how frustrating it can be sometimes when you talk to a fellow believer in the pulpit or in the pews and try to get them interested in public policy or what's going on in Washington and the state capitals, and people will say, it doesn't really affect me. That it's just too worldly. It doesn't affect what I do in my family with my children. Well, we're already learning that's not true, but if over the next few months and years we get 1 to 3 more liberal appointments on the Supreme Court, and that's certainly what we will get if a liberal is elected president of the United States, then basic constitutional rights, guarantees that are in the Bill of Rights, are going to be taken away. The most obvious one is further restrictions on the freedom of religion, which we already see under attack. But then on other things that we care about, like the Second Amendment and the right to life and so forth, these things will move in the complete opposite direction of what millions of Americans hope and pray the country will do in the years ahead. And it's going to affect every family, every taxpayer, every parent, every spouse. So the time for being asleep about these things or thinking that they don't really matter is long since passed. And your analysis is something that really needs to get into the hands of every voter out there, everybody listening to your program, and way beyond those listening today, into the hands of every American.
Gary, Brad here, back in the day when we were both working for Dr. Dobson at Focus on the Family, I remember him saying often, this is a critical time, this is a watershed moment. I think even if he were sitting right here right now, he would say, you know what? All of that was important back then, but this truly is a watershed moment for the entire culture of this country. I could see a wholesale change where what we take for granted as a freedom in the Bill of Rights is just wiped out judicially somehow, some way. And thank you for standing with all these other truth tellers. But again, we're asking our friends listening right now to stand with us as well.
Brad, you're absolutely right. I saw Dr. Dobson just a few weeks ago, and we were a little nostalgic about a book that he and I wrote many years ago together called Children at Risk. And in the book, we said that there was a civil war over values in America, and the winner of that war, and there's always a winner, no country's built on neutrality, the winner of that war would get the right to teach our children what to believe about life and death, freedom and slavery, love and sex. And that's exactly what's happening now. The hour is late. I think Point of View is doing an incredible job of being a modern Paul Revere. We're trying to do our part here with the work that I'm doing. I know Dr. Dobson is still in the value. If we all continue to do that and continue to pray and alert believers and people that know that our country was built on Judeo-Christian values, I think we can still save the country and restore it as that shining city on a hill that our founding fathers meant it to be.
Really need to hear from you right now. 800-347-5151. Of course, you can go to pointofview.net. We have a link there to Truth Team 360. Join with some of the other individuals that appreciate Point of View. One of those is Mark.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much for everybody on Point of View. I mean, you guys are all champions. The country needs your show. I support you. Again, thank you so much for everything that everyone in that room does. And we need this show like you wouldn't believe.
Boy, that's true. And thanks to Lorraine from Arizona with a gift. Just checked in a few moments ago, became a Truth Team member. She's going to get that brand new free Bible stick from Faith Comes by Hearing.
And again, some of the other resources that we have available. But just before we let Gary Bauer go, any other thoughts about what we can do? It certainly seems to me that there are a number of listeners. We are broadcasting in over 300 radio stations in 41 states. Some of those states like Indiana and Nebraska and, of course, Oregon, Washington, California, and some of these have not voted yet. So, Gary, any suggestions you might give to some of those individuals about how to think about this election?
Well, that's a great question. Just in the interest of full disclosure, I've endorsed Ted Cruz from the great state of Texas, and I think we've had a number of good people running this year, but I believe that Senator Cruz understands particularly these value issues, everything from the sanctity of life to normal marriage, and even these now almost unbelievable issues of who gets to use the women's room and who gets to use the men's restroom. So I certainly would urge everybody to look at all the candidates very carefully and make sure those candidates that you vote for line up with your values. The other thing I would mention, Kerby, is you don't have to go out and confront strangers and talk to neighbors. It might be a little awkward. The first thing you can do is make sure in your own family that your own children and grandchildren aren't being seduced by the popular culture and by the liberal establishment and progressivism and all of those things. And so I think as parents and grandparents, if we can sit down and reason with our own family members, explain to them what's at stake, that alone would be a very simple thing to do and can be done in love and also will help ensure that the country will get back on the right track.
Again, Gary Bauer, President of American Values, we appreciate teaming with you and look forward to the next opportunity.
Great to be with you both.
Thanks, Gary.
Let me just mention before we take a break here that this is a great opportunity for you to join with us, Truth Team 360. As you join up, of course, you'll receive the Outlook magazine we were mentioning. Of course, for your gift, you will also receive the MP3 Bible Stick, which comes from the Ministry of Faith Comes by Hearing. For some of the higher levels of giving, if you'd like to do so, we have this 16-ounce tumbler and journal set, and we have an opportunity for you to receive both of those at the higher levels, and you can find out a lot of that by simply going to the website pointofview.net. Click on that button that says join the Truth Team. You can see what we're talking about. You can actually join there, but if you'd like to give us a call, we have individuals waiting for your phone call. 1-800-347-5151. We need 3 more phone calls. Let's get them right now.
Point of View. Truth Team 360.
Hey, this is O.S. Hawkins. I'm president of Guidestone Financial Resources here in Dallas and former pastor of the First Baptist Church in Dallas. I've been doing a Point of View interview with Kerby Anderson and didn't want to leave without saying a good word about Kerby. I've known him for 25 years, and his reputation is spotless. His character is beyond reproach. And I want to just challenge those of you who are listeners. Maybe you've never given before, but I don't know anyone who's being salt and light in our culture in a more effective way than Kerby Anderson and Point of View. So I want to encourage you to join Susie and I in being an active supporter of this good and godly ministry.
Point of View. Truth Team 360.
Good friend O.S. Hawkins at Guidestone, and we are again in the midst of Truth Team Week, and this is an opportunity for you to support this ministry, and I really want you to consider what you might do. Right now we have a $3,000 match on the table. We got a couple of phone calls during the break, and before we get to Congressman and Representative Louie Gohmert in the second hour. This is a time where we really need to hear from you. And so please consider what you might do right this minute. 1-800-347-5151. We need some of you to lead out and not wait till the very last day. And if you are supporting this ministry, first of all, you're supporting the news and information and commentaries we do, the videos we produce, the Outlook magazine, which we send to you. And of course, Brad, you might also take a little bit of time explaining this Bible stick, because most people don't know what that is.
Basically, the Bible Stick is a product that Faith Comes by Hearing, which is the world's largest ministry of audio Bibles around the world.
Right.
They have incredible ministry, and they have this. This is about 5 inches long, about an inch wide, and it fits in your pocket, fits in the palm of your hand. It's actually an MP3 player. What that means is you plug the headset into the player, and then you press play. If you pause, it remembers where you stopped. So you can use it for morning devotions. You can use it while you're jogging, exercising, that kind of thing. You can plug it into a speaker and actually play it back so other people can hear it. And it's the word-for-word translation, English Standard Version. It's dramatized with music, sound effects. It sounds like a story, which it is.
Yes.
It's the world's greatest story from Matthew all the way through Revelation.
And if you want to get God's word in your heart, especially if you're an audio learner, and one of my children are, so that is certainly a great way to get God's word into your heart.
It is indeed. And I want to say thanks to a couple of people who've already picked up their Bible stick just a few moments ago from Corbin, Kentucky. Thank you to Tammy for that gift. And another Team 360 member, Tracy, checking in from Modesto, California. Thank you so much as you join the Truth Team. There's room for you. In fact, we still have more of the $3,000 match available.
Yes, we certainly do.
So there's a special appeal. Okay, you became a grandfather not that long ago.
Yes.
Like 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Okay,
2 weeks tomorrow.
2 weeks ago. So here's the challenge. We're looking for 5 grandparents, grandmothers or granddads. 5 of you to go to the phone and identify yourself to the operator, please, because we're going to count.
Okay.
So I'm a grandparent and I want to donate.
Yeah, and you're teaching me everything I need to know now.
Yeah, right. So we're asking you to give and identify yourself. 5 of you as grandparents. Now, others can call, of course, single people, married people, without children, but you grandparents, come on. I know there's 5 of you out there who can give us a call at 800-347-5151. That's 800-347-5151. And we do have lines available right now.
And I certainly saw that. You know, again, as you support this ministry, you're supporting some of that news and information. Gary Bauer talked about that just a minute ago, and he was nice to share that online and on air, because I have heard that before, where sometimes he'll be speaking and people say, you know, there's really 2 things, Gary, that I depend on. One is your end-of-day report, and then the other one is Point of View. And, of course, he's been on Point of View with us so many years, and we feel like he's kind of a co-minister of what we do. But it's certainly a great opportunity for us to hear from him and from others about its impact. And so let's, if we can, for just a minute, maybe go to someone else who stands in the gap, just like Gary Bauer, and that's Tony Perkins.
Christians sometimes miss. They take for granted programs like Point of View, ministries that bring truth, that defend the Judeo-Christian worldview in the public square, just thinking that they'll be there. And as Christians, you know, we're one body, but we have different functions, and some are, you know, the hands, the feet, some are the mouthpiece, some do the frontline work, while others supply the resources. But we're one body, and so I think it's very important that the Christian community understand that they are a part of the ministry of Point of View and other organizations like that are out there informing, standing, defending, speaking the truth, but we've got to work together. And so it's very important that Point of View stays on the air, continues to proclaim the truth, to reach people with important, timely information. And that's critical, because you are so timely in the information that you bring that people then can take action to make a difference. So I would encourage people to continue and even increase their support, because I'm going to tell you the next few years, I believe, are going to be very difficult, and we're going to be called upon increasingly to stand and proclaim the truth.
I was just in Washington, D.C. at this prayer rally that was in front of Lincoln Memorial, and Tony Perkins was speaking there, so we had a chance to kind of update. And again, we're all concerned about the future of America because, as we've said before, our culture and our country are not necessarily moving towards biblical values, so that's why we need to be a beacon, a lighthouse for truth.
That's right. By the way, you can give at pointofview.net/team if you get a busy signal, pointofview.net/team. And by the way, all of our phone answers today are grandparents.
Yes, well, so
I love that.
So we need to hear from a few more grandparents.
Absolutely, we certainly do.
Two grandfathers in the studio. You got some grandmothers taking the phone calls. So there you go.
And by the way, if you want to give it a larger amount, we have a lot of people giving it $100 a month, and that's a great, easy number to remember. Many of you can do this, and we have some extra gifts for you. You can go online and look at what those are. It's a tumbler set with a journal and, of course, the Bible stick as well as a thank you gift for joining our team. Without, you know what team is? Team is standing together, everyone accomplishing much. That's it.
That's very
So we
good.
accomplish much together as a team, and we simply ask you to join the team. Prayerfully consider doing that. 800-347-5151. That's 800-347-5151. And oh, by the way, we have a match challenge on the table. Every dollar coming in up to $3,000 will be matched dollar for dollar by some friends of ours. So your gift will go twice as far. That 360 times 2.
Yes.
Okay, that $100 single gift times 2.
Well, let's just real quickly hear from someone else who has been a listener to Point of View. Rick, here's what he had to say.
Long-time listener, first-time caller. Just wanted to know how much I appreciate your program. I've been listening to it for several years, and thank you so much for the positions you take, most of all for the wisdom you exhibit, and just keep up the good work.
So again, Rick, speaking about that very important issue, we've had a chance to hear from Leslie and Mark and all sorts of callers, but we want to hear from you right now.
We do.
And that number is 1-800-347-5151, 1-800-347-5151. That's a different number than the on-air line. The second hour, maybe we'll open up and give you some chances to maybe interact with Representative Louie Gohmert, because he'll be with us. We'll be talking about Israel, we'll be talking about Congress, we'll be talking about all sorts of issues, as you might imagine. But we are coming to the top of the hour, and we still have a long way to go, even to meet that $3,000 match. So
let's not leave any of that money on the table.
No.
As a matter of fact, really, in the next 4 minutes, let's hear from you right now. 1-800-347-5151, 800-347-5151, or you can go online and give very easily, pointofview.net, pointofview.net, and click in the appropriate place.
And again, if you get a busy signal, can't get through, that's a good place to go. A lot of times people say, I don't want to miss even a word of what you're saying on Point of View. Well, we're going to go to a pretty long break, but even as you are listening, if you're on your computer right now, just click on the Join the Truth Team. The advantage of that is that then you can see the various gifts that we're making available, including, as we mentioned just a few minutes ago, the Bible stick, as well as the tumbler and journal set, and all sorts of other resources that are there. So go to the website, pointofview.net. But this is a great time to make a phone call. 1-800-347-5151.
4 lines just became available right now for you. 4 lines looking for 4 callers. No waiting.
1-800-347-5151. We'll be right back.
This is an incredibly important week for Point of View. We need to build our war chest to get us through the election season. This week, we need you to step up and join the team. Just as a political campaign cannot get its message out without donor support, Point of View must have friends like you as we head into the final leg of this presidential race. Imagine Hillary Clinton in the White House. Think of what justices she would nominate to the Supreme Court. The next president is likely going to shape our highest court for several decades, and Point of View wants to provide a biblical perspective of all of the issues in this year's campaign. But we cannot do it, we simply can't, without you. Please step up now as a monthly partner. Click the Join the Truth Team button at pointofview.net and choose your level. Stretch a bit. Or call 1-800-347-5151. Pointofview.net and 1-800-347-5151. 1-800-347-5151. Point of View will continue after this.
I just thank God for y'all. I listen to you every day, truly. I wanted to thank y'all for everything you do each day to inform Christian families and our community about the things we can do, and just the way you're so informative. I listen to you daily and love you guys and appreciate you so much.
God bless you, Kerby, for keeping this show so on track and for the decades of wonderful help to this nation that Point of View has been. We're all big fans of your work, and we pray that God will just prosper it.
As a Christian, over the years that I've followed this program, I am constantly challenged to be on guard and to evaluate what's going on. And if for no other reason, to protect the caliber and the truth of your programming, I need to participate and to back your program financially to ensure that the truth stays out there for people to hear, to view, and to be a part of.
This is Point of View Radio.
Hi, this is Kerby Anderson. You know, each day we take on the tough issues and provide a biblical perspective to them. The topics we cover are wide-ranging: apologetics, theology, prophecy, creation and evolution, intelligent design, marriage, family, child-rearing, the millennial generation, trends in society, politics, economics, business, religious liberty, the Constitution, public policy, foreign policy, military policy, tensions in the Middle East, abortion, homosexuality, pornography, sexual ethics, media, technology, history, and America's godly heritage. We talk about anything that affects your faith, your family, or your freedom. So don't go anywhere, because Point of View continues right now.
Across America, live. This is Point of View. And now, Kerby Anderson.
Thank you for joining us today here on Point of View. We're in the midst of our Truth Team 360. We'll be here all week. Had a chance in the first hour, if you were not with us, talking with Gary Bauer, presidential candidate. I loved one of his lines, and maybe I picked the wrong year to run for the presidency.
Yeah, I love that line.
Brad Fisk in studio with me, and just a little bit we'll be talking with Representative Louie Gohmert. But before we do so, we need to explain to some of you that maybe have just joined us right now that we're in the midst of our Truth Team 360, and this is where we are challenging you to consider what you might do to support us. And for as little as $1 a day, $30 a month, $360 a year, you can become one of our Truth Team members. Now, 360 also is like on a compass.
That's right.
And that's important too, because we're really trying to make sure that we're pointing true north and giving truth in a culture right now that has seemingly allowed non-truth to become the foundation for so many things of our society.
It just seems like we're losing our way so quickly. I mean, I cannot believe the rapidity at just totally, unbelievable. I'm not a loss of words, which is rare for me.
Yes.
But I just get so tongue-tied and just so frustrated at what people call truth, and they are so far off God's mark.
Yes.
And now we shouldn't get angry. We shouldn't be, because I know at the end of the book, I know how the story comes out.
Yes.
But to get from here to there, ladies and gentlemen, we have not needed your help more than now. More than now. Because we see things going in such a way that, frankly, is curling my toes big time.
Yes.
All right? And it's very scary. But there's some people on the positive side that have supported us just in the last few minutes. From Arkansas, thank you, Betty, so much for that gift, and we're so grateful. Joining the Truth Team, thank you very much. And then Jimmy, thank you from Kilgore, Texas, and for your gift as well. God bless you, and we are so grateful for your gift. And then online, we have an online giver who joined the Truth Team. And in Livermore, California. I know where that is. I was married right next door to Livermore.
I was just down there the other day, so I can know that.
So that's just what we now. I also just checked. We still have plenty of money remaining.
Yes, we do.
In the $3,000 match challenge.
So again, we encourage you, if you don't know what a match is, although I suspect you probably do, but just again, that is that we will count up your gift, and then that will be doubled. So the gift that was given earlier by one of the supporters of this ministry said, I'd like to have a match so that I can give, but I want to encourage other people to give. And so that means that if you're going to be, say, $30 a month, that $30 a month becomes $60 a month. Mm-hmm. Now, some of you might want to join at a higher level. And over the years, Brad, we've done a calculation and figured that it probably costs to sponsor just a minute a month.
That's right.
It's around $65.
That's a cool way to measure it.
And that is really great. And then, of course, there's $100 a month. And for those higher level gifts, we can once again hold those up. We'll talk about just a minute the Bible stick. But one of the other things that we've been making available is this tumbler, which you can have coffee or tea or whatever in it, the journal, and we have all of that available. And you can watch it either online right now as we're talking about that, or of course you can go online and see that. So again, you can, if you are one of our donors, receive that Bible stick, which I want you to explain in just a minute, but many of you at the higher levels can receive either or both. So there's some great opportunities.
Okay, now I'm very biased. I think this is the coolest thing we've ever offered. I really do. It is the entire New Testament preloaded, the ESV version, on a tiny little MP3 player. It fits in the palm of your hand, and it has the entire dramatized New Testament with music, sound effects. There's dozens of different voices giving voice to the story as you go through the entire New Testament. Very easy to listen to. Now, this may be something you don't really think you need or will use. Listen, guys, guess what's coming up the end of March? I mean, the end of May and in June? Graduation time.
Sure.
What a great graduation gift to get for that special someone, that grandchild who's graduating from college, from high school, to put the Word of God in, and they can listen to it anytime when they're driving or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
And so this is yours as a free thank you gift. Joining the Truth Team, that's $1 a day, $360 for the year. And when you join, we're going to send this to you for free as a free gift. It is awesome, Kerby. It's really a great gift. And we just want to just bless you with that. But it doesn't happen unless you give us a call. 800-347-5151. That's 800-347-5151. Waiting for your call right now.
Let me just mention what you are supporting, and that is certainly a ministry that we have been involved with since really Marlon Maddox started it in 1972. So you can do the math and figure out that more than 4 decades now. But presenting a Christian worldview on today's issues, providing all sorts of resources so that you can take those articles and those videos, you can put them on your Facebook page, you can use them to send as an email to someone else.
And we are content rich, as they like to say.
And lots of
content
experts.
Rich.
You just had a chance to hear from Gary Bauer, and of course, we're going to, in just a few minutes, hear from Louie Gohmert. All through the week, we're going to have kind of a who's who of individuals who join with us so that you're not just listening to us asking for your financial support. You're also learning even as we go along.
That's right.
This is something we've always tried to do so that during this week, we are going to focus on some of the distinctives, give you some news, information, commentary. But again, you're supporting that. But again, we can't do it without you. So anything that you can do right now would be greatly appreciated. I guess we actually have an open phone line, so if you would like to join us, please do so. 1-800-347-5151. If you can't get through or you would rather just deal with it very quickly online, that is very easy as well. Simply go to pointofview.net, click on that button that says Join the Truth Team. It will show you the various benefits that we provide. We have these welcome gifts that we would certainly like to give to you, and other benefits like receiving the Outlook magazine and some other resources. So go to pointofview.net or give us a call, 1-800-347-5151.
By the way, I just did the math in my head, and really, we're only 5 Truth Team gifts away from getting the entire match cared for.
There we go.
The next 5 people who call with a gift of $360 or more, first of all, your gift will be doubled. That's cool.
Yes.
Second of all, you'll receive this incredible Bible stick from Faith Comes by Hearing, an incredible resource for you to get God's Word into your heart and your mind. So it's 1-800-347-5151. That's 800-347-5151. Or you can go online at pointofview.net/team, TEAM, together. Everyone accomplishing much. I like that for team. Be part of the team and help us accomplish much. Again, 800-347-5151. Still looking for that grandparent. I'm going to go check these slips I just read.
Oh, that's right.
To make sure. Remember, tell us if you're a grandparent and giving, because we're counting on you today. 800-347-5151.
Somebody probably also wonders, do I have to have all the money in hand? And of course,
No,
of course not. We're looking for a pledge right now. And so as we go to a break, first of all, we had put out, and actually, Brad was the one that came up with this idea. Since I just became a grandfather.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
He's been a grandfather for some time. And since at the moment, I think almost everybody, now there's one woman that's not, but all the other women are grandmothers.
That's cool.
That would be great to hear from some of those of you that are out there that are grandparents. But whether you're a father, a mother, single, grandparent, whatever, we'd love to hear from you right now. And as we go to a break, this would be a great time to call because, once you start hearing Louie Gohmert, it's really hard to get to that phone because he's got so many good stories. So that's why we encourage you right now to go to the pledge line, 1-800-347-5151. We'll hear from Louie Gohmert and maybe hear a little bit more from some other people that have been on this program that appreciate the ministry as well. 800-347-5151. We'll be right back.
This is Viewpoints with Kerby Anderson.
Last Monday, the Supreme Court heard oral arguments on the immigration case against President Obama. The lower courts ruled that the president acted unilaterally in issuing his order that would allow as many as 5 million illegal aliens to remain in the country without any fear of deportation. The issue at stake is much larger than immigration and deportation. What's at stake is whether the president could actually issue executive orders that bypass the legislative process. President Obama has been issuing these types of orders for years without much criticism from the mainstream press. Something changed with his order. The editors at USA Today said that it would be a mistake for the Supreme Court to allow the president to do this, and thus argued that the court should declare his action unconstitutional. My initial reaction was, where were these editors when this president was issuing his over 200 executive orders? The answer to the sudden conversion at USA Today can be found in the third to the last paragraph in the editorial. The editors argue that the problem with giving this authority to President Obama is that it could set a precedent and give this president and the next president sweeping authority. They said the same people who think Obama should have these broad powers over immigration enforcement will feel differently if a Republican wins the White House in November. Ah, yes, the sauce for the Democratic goose cannot be given to the Republican gander. To drive the point home, they even tell the readers to imagine what orders Ted Cruz or Donald Trump would issue if elected president. Now, to be fair, Ted Cruz has promised to return the government to a constitutional foundation. But Donald Trump, however, might simply remind the press that they had no problem with how President Obama used power. He was planning to do the same. You know, few complained when President Obama wrote executive orders, so they really can't complain if a President Trump does as well. I'm Kerby Anderson, and that's my point of view.
For more information about issues covered on Viewpoints, visit pointofview.net. Pointofview.net. Point of View. Truth Team 360.
Hi, everybody. Max Lucado here. I want to join the loud chorus of applause and appreciation for Point of View as well as Christian Radio. The unique voice of this powerful ministry over the airwaves is absolutely essential in this day and age. And so I stand with those of you who support and encourage this powerful ministry. I thank Kerby and for the faithful friend that he's been to me all these many years. May God bless this ministry. Let's stay behind it.
Point of View. Truth Team 360.
Max Lucado in studio with us just recently. Some of the comments. And of course, earlier you heard O.S. Hawkins and John Stone Street. Of course, we had Gary Bauer. And now we have Representative Louie Gohmert. But just before we do so, Brad Fisk in studio here with me. And it's Truth Team 360. We still have the $3,000 match
portion
on the
of it
table.
left. Yeah. Most of it's gone, but not all of it. So we have about rough around $1,000, a little more than that to go. So if you want your gift to count double, this is a great time to do it. It's like a bargain, you guys. Every dollar you give is going to be matched dollar for dollar. 800-347-5151.
You know, we've talked about this political campaign, and I want to pull those together because we've been talking about political candidates and what if in terms of Supreme Court. But what about Israel? And recently I had a chance to go to the AIPAC meeting, and Representative Louie Gohmert was speaking there and talking about some people that see both sides of the argument, and that's never a good thing sometimes when you're talking about the nation of Israel. Individual serving the fifth term in the United States House of Representatives, sworn in back in 2005, represents the 1st District of Texas. And Representative Louie Gohmert, always great to have you on the program.
Kerby, you know I love talking to you on the air, off the air. I never cease to benefit from your wisdom. I mean, people that listen to Point of View get a great point of view to really understand what's going on. And when you talk about Israel, Kerby, and Brad, good to talk to you too. But yeah, we had one presidential candidate who had said, when it comes to Israel, I'm neutral. I can see both sides. Well, on one side, you have a group of folks who want to wipe Israel off the map and get rid of every Jewish person in the area. And on the other hand, you have Israelis that just want desperately to live in peace without car bombs, bus bombs, without having to worry about having a cup of coffee and a bomb go off and kill your family. So I guess if you're going to be neutral, that means I may be okay with killing only half of the Jews in Israel. I mean, that's not something you can really moderate. And it's always dangerous. And our friend Joel Rosenberg likes to point out that in the book of Joel, it says there will be judgment that comes down on anybody that helps divide Israel. I really don't want to cause God to bring his judgment down on our country any worse than we're creating trouble for ourselves.
I've heard you speak at AIPAC about, when people say they'll look at both sides, the brothers of Joseph kind of looked at both sides. Take us through that, because in some respects we have some biblical principles there, don't we?
Yes, we did. And I've forgotten that I brought that up in that last speech. Man, Kerby, you were listening. Usually people say I'm a very restful speaker because they get a good nap while I'm talking. But you had, when it came to seeing both sides, you had one group of brothers saying, why don't we just kill Joseph, And so, I tell you what, let's compromise. You just throw him down in a pit and then he was hoping to come back and help him out when things cool down. And then he goes off and the rest of the brothers go, look. Anyway, that people playing both sides. The guy ends up nearly killed, being sold into slavery. It was a terrible progression of things he went through. But as he told them at the end, you meant it for evil, but God used it for good. But I hear a lot of people that misunderstand that. And they say, all things work together for good. It means that all things are good. No, they're not. And Lincoln made that clear in his second inaugural, that in this world, all things are not fair and all things are not good, but God can work them together for good for those that love him and are called according to his purpose. But we saw with Joseph's brothers what happens when somebody tries to moderate and tries to be a mediator between evil. It's not a good idea. You have to stand up against evil and say, no, you're not going to murder him, and no, you're not going to sell him into slavery. You stand up. You don't mediate that. And we've got too many people that are anxious to mediate with evil. You can't mediate with crazy Iranian leaders. I didn't say stupid because they're very, very smart. But, you can be very, very smart enough to look at plans and see, wow, a plane with so much jet fuel would burst into flames and would eventually bring this building down. But you could be so crazy you were actually willing to do that to kill innocent people.
Yeah, I tell you, yeah.
Incredible. Let me just mention that we have a match on the table, $3,000 match, or what's left of it.
That's
and
right.
So again, the pledge line number is 1-800-347-5151. And really want to talk
Kerby,
about...
I can't believe people aren't just burning up the phone holy smokes, they could get double your money to help the station that they know does them so much good. I mean, Wow.
Best bargain in town. And not only that, but you get you get a Bible stick as well from Faith Comes by Hearing, compliments of them. And Faith Comes by Hearing Bible stick. That's another gift for anybody who gives, Louie, at a $360 level for the year or more. And this is a free welcome gift to our Truth Team 360.
Let's
I get a Bible stick every time I listen to you guys because
there you go.
It is a figurative stick, but I become so much wiser by listening that you've got a stick that is invaluable. Now, if you throw in an actual Bible stick, that's pretty amazing.
There you go.
What you ought to give.
Hey, there's one for you, sir. I'm just saying.
We'll give one to Louie. Let me just for a minute before we get back to Louie talk about the impact that this is having on people's lives. Steve talked about the fact that because of Point of View, he decided to attend seminary.
And Kerby, I'd like to say, too, I just really appreciate your program, and I tell people about it all the time. But because of your program and hearing Dr. Geisler and stuff on there, I've been thinking about attending seminary for some years. And anyway, I started attending VES, Veritas, with Norm Geisler and those guys, and about a third of the way done with a Master of Arts in Theology. And it's I owe you great credit for that.
Well, again, just another testimony from some of the callers here. But, Louie, just before we go to our next break, I wanted to hear from you about what is the future for Israel. We've talked about the what if in terms of the presidential election with Gary Bauer. What's the what if? We're going to take a number of listeners to Point of View to Israel next month and then on to Greece. But what's the future for Israel in terms of this presidential campaign?
Oh my. Well, I think it has more to do with America's future than even Israel's future because I think God is going to see that Israel's protected, but we have been given the gift of getting a chance to be a blessing to Israel. And, unless you think God loves America more than he does Jerusalem, then we need to be concerned about America. Those that bless Israel will be blessed. Those that curse Israel will be cursed. If you believe the Bible is just full of baloney, then that's not a problem. But if we cause much more damage than this administration already has to Israel, and we have helped the enemies all around them, and not just them. I mean, the Middle East is in chaos because of this administration. And, we've helped our friends, we've helped our enemies, and we've hurt our friends. And I've been in private meetings with Muslim leaders, not Saudi Arabia, but some of the other Muslim countries around North Africa and the Middle East. And we have a meeting where some media is allowed in, but when we have private meetings, these guys are saying, "What are you doing? You're helping Iran? You're helping the Muslim Brothers.
Sure. Wow.
These are the people that have been at war with you. They want to destroy you. They want to destroy Israel. Israel's supposed to be your friend. Why are you helping?"
Let me jump in because we need to take a break here real quickly. And again, I understand that, but I do want to give some people, especially as we go to the break, a chance to join with us. So the pledge line, 800-347-5151, pointofview.net. But need to hear from a few more of you if you'd like to join us, 1-800-347-5151. Louie Gohmert will be with us again just after the break. We will be back right after this.
This is an incredibly important week for Point of View. We need to build our war chest to get us through the election season. This week, we need you to step up and join the team. Just as a political campaign cannot get its message out without donor support, Point of View must have friends like you as we head into the final leg of this presidential race. Imagine Hillary Clinton in the White House. Think of what justices she would nominate to the Supreme Court. The next president is likely going to shape our highest court for several decades, and Point of View wants to provide a biblical perspective of all of the issues in this year's campaign. But we cannot do it, we simply can't, without you. Please step up now as a monthly partner. Click the Join the Truth Team button at pointofview.net and choose your level. Stretch a bit or call 1-800-347-5151. Pointofview.net and 1-800-347-5151. 1-800-347-5151. Point of View will continue after this.
You are listening to Point of View. The opinions expressed on Point of View do not necessarily reflect the views of the management or staff of this station. And now, here again is Kerby Anderson.
Privileged to have with us for just a little bit longer Louie Gohmert, and it is again our Truth Team 360 week, and Brad Fisk in studio with me, and we certainly do need to hear from you. And Brad, I guess we have heard from a number of people so far. 800-347-5115. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump on your first identified grandfather, Alan from Hillsboro, Illinois, and a grandfather of 10 with 2 more on the way.
Wow.
And he is becoming a Truth Team member. And so every dollar, that $30 $10 a month becomes $60 a month to the ministry.
Yes.
So listen, guys, the good news is, or the bad news is, we only have until the top of the hour to get this done because the money's going to disappear if we don't put it into our total. So the way it gets in our total is by you calling and giving, because every dollar you give releases another dollar into our total. So please give us a call, 800-347-5151. And I joined with what Louie said last segment, and that is, why aren't you all calling? I mean, you're crazy. You should be giving to Point of View.
Yeah. Louie, you've sat in this chair. You've been a guest host here on Point of View. I think you've been a guest host for Tony Perkins. I know I've heard you as a guest host on Sean Hannity, so you're getting to be quite a radio personality.
Well, you gave me my start, Kerby, by letting me sit in with you and watch the master. And, you know, we kid around, but really, your Ivy League education, and you've never lost the wisdom that comes from knowing the Bible. And it is incredible where we are today. And I'm just grateful you were willing to let yourself be used as an instrument to help educate the country. And let me say something about where we are in the next administration.
Yes.
I think it's fantastic that this time, I can't remember one like this, but that the election matters in every state. Every state. It's like, I don't know if it's true, but it's like God is not letting anybody off the hook. He's going to let everybody have a say in who the next president is, and everybody will be on the record. If they don't vote, then that's their vote. When I was in the Army, I had a superior officer in rank, not in intellect, but he did have something that I've never forgotten. He said, when you hesitated on a decision, he said, Captain, remember, no decision is a decision. So if you decide not to go out and vote, you have made a decision, and the country will be the worse for it. So God has given, I mean, this is coming down to the wire. Every state counts as we go through this election. I can't, can you remember that happening before?
No. I mean, we have had a lot of born-again Christians that have sat out the last election, 39 million, but this is it's just amazing. You know, just before we get too far down the road, you mentioned Joel Rosenberg, and I thought we might hear what Joel Rosenberg had to say.
One of the things I've loved about Point of View is that it looks at the issues of the day here in the United States and internationally from not just a political lens and not just an economic lens, but what I call the third lens of Scripture. And I think it's critical because so much of the mainstream media is looking at events and discounting the spiritual nature of what's happening in our world and the moral values that many of us hold so dearly. So I think Point of View has been critical at helping people understand what's happening from a biblical point of view, and that's one of the reasons I love the show so much. I think one of the reasons that evangelical Christians have been able to have so much impact on the United States over the last several decades is precisely because we have had access to information, and there's been a real burgeoning of communications technology that have allowed Christians to have access to information in real time. Talk radio has been a huge element in that, and Point of View has really been a leader for more than 3 decades at using radio technology to get information, analysis, facts and figures, and really inspirational and motivational programming to people wherever they are, from coast to coast. I think that's been critical, and Point of View really fits into a larger plan, I think, that God has had in the last several decades to mobilize the church on some of the really critical moral and social issues of our times, as well as understanding what's happening overseas and how we can be praying for and actually be participating in God's work both at home and abroad.
Joel Rosenberg. And again, if you would like to join with us, 800-347-5151. Louie Gohmert, Joel Rosenberg is somebody you know, and I think his analysis of the need to get good information and truth in the midst of a culture that right now is allowing non-truth is one of the reasons we do what we do.
Well, it absolutely is. And one of the things I like about your show is that you have a number of people with wisdom that you allow to come in and co-host and be with you there. And sometimes I get so frustrated and so passionate that you always keep a level head, and it makes a difference. You've been such a great influence. But we've come to a point where people have got to be choosing, and the Bible talks about those times when right becomes wrong and wrong becomes right. I mean, things get upside down. I know in my lifetime, I never dreamed that people who said men should not go in the little girl's restroom or dressing room, who can believe where we are, that you're nuts, you're mean, you're bigoted if you say a man shouldn't go into a girl's restroom or dressing room.
Total insanity.
It's crazy, and yet that's where we are. And why are we there? Because too many people have remained silent.
That's right.
And through it all, you have been a voice of reason and allowed God to shine through you and point of view. And I'm just very grateful for your allowing yourself to be a moon and reflect the sun's rays to all those around you.
And the good news I have, too, Louie, for everybody, you can actually put some legs on this lack of maybe coming alongside of us and doing something, putting feet to your faith.
Exactly.
And you can do that right now with Point of View. We really do need your help. We want to get this $3,000 match cleared up, because I don't know about you, Louie, but if somebody puts a $50 bill on the table and says, it's yours if you take it, but if you leave it, it's not yours anymore, I'd pick up the $50. Okay, well, that's what we got going on here. So there's money on the table. We're looking for some friends. That's right. 1-800-347-5151. Let's not leave a dime of that $3,000 on the table.
Louie Gohmert, I know you need to get back to the Lord's work here, but just before we let you go, any comments that you might give to our listeners today? Because, again, you've been such a great friend of this ministry.
Well, if people not only listen but also become partners with you, I know they'll never be accused of being a porcupine Christian. That's somebody that's got a lot of good points, but you don't want to get close to them. They would just become partners and continue walking this time with you. The country's going to be a better country, and we will be blessed because we are doing what God says. We're in the Word, we're learning the Word, and we're sharing with others. It's just, you're an awesome friend, and I'm glad to talk to you again, and just appreciate you so much.
Well, again, we posted a piece about Louie Gohmert on Israel and the presidential candidates. Of course, we posted an earlier one from Gary Bauer's piece, Courts and Common Sense. So if some of the issues we've talked about are of interest to you, they're on the website. So Louie Gohmert, wish you well. We'll see you again soon.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Thank you, Kerby.
Brad, we just have a minute or two before we take a break here, and I think we still have an opportunity to meet that match. So talk about, when does that end? And all
top of the hour. We only have until the top of the hour, and that's it. It's over.
All right.
So we just need to hear from you right now. And look at, we've heard from some folks in the last break, a couple breaks ago. We want to thank a listener who gave a $50 single gift. Here's an $8 single gift. Of course, all of those are doubled. And there's another one on the internet that came in, $75 there. Thank you so much, folks. Again, a gift of any amount. But you know what? That monthly gift really adds up because we get to count the whole year. So that $360 is doubled. That's awesome. $720 to the total. So don't delay. Go before that money disappears on us. Go to pointofview.net /team, pointofview.net, or you can call us at 800-347-5151. That's 800-347-5151.
Well, we need to take a break, and when we come back, we'll try to kind of summarize what's happening here today. If any of you have any quick comments, we might take a phone call, 1-800-351-1212, which is the on-air line, but don't confuse that with the other line that, of course, we need you to call right now, and that is the pledge line, 800-347-5151. Of course, also, you can go to the website, pointofview.net. need to hear from you, and we need just a few more of those Truth Team 360 team members. Join up right now. We'll be back right after this.
Point of View, Truth Team 360, Joseph Farah.
Well, I think Point of View is one of the first radio programs to really give us alternative news, if you will, to ferret out those stories that the so-called mainstream media would never bring to people. That is what has always made your program fascinating. It's what has always delivered the audience to you. For people who are really hungry for the real story, for real information, there is no parallel to Point of View.
So again, back with Truth Team 360. Brad in studio with us for just a few more minutes. Top of the hour, that $3,000 match goes away, doesn't it?
That's right. We have a couple of thank yous. Made a little dent. Thank you very much to Wilma, who's a grandmother number 2. So that's grandparent number 2 checking in.
Yes, that we know of.
For a gift. And from Port Orange, Florida, thank you for your gift here, friend. We appreciate that very much. And every gift, single or monthly, is doubled. But we're not there. We have a little under $1,000 to go. That's how much money ladies and gentlemen, is sitting on the table, and you can make a difference. You can change that picture right now by giving us a call at 800-347-5151, especially looking for you to join at that Truth Team level, $1 a day. Come on, you guys, $1 a day. That is a very doable kind of something you can get your arms around, and you'll be making a difference for eternity by supporting Point of View.
You know, some people have said, I've been supporting Point of View for some time, but maybe I should increase my support. That's what Ben said.
Well, you know, because you have your program and Fox News, well, I don't send them money, but I am going to double what I'm sending to you guys because thanks to you, you're keeping this all up to speed. You know what I mean?
So again, just a little bit of an encouragement from another listener out there. And Brad, you know, we're really trying to educate people and, if you will, sort of network them with all sorts of different ministries and organizations and experts.
That's what I was going to say. Is it hit me here during the last break. We heard from Joseph. We just heard from that listener. And there's a similar theme here. It's called networking. It's called being out in front in the weeds with an advanced team, looking at the issues, looking at what's going on in the culture. And you know what? I don't know about you guys. I do not have time to do the work that they do here at Point of View. I don't. I have a whole other job, and I have all this other stuff, and I have a family and all these responsibilities. I cannot keep up with what's really important for me to know. I don't have to. All I have to do is tune into Point of View and get my dose of Point of View every single day, and I've got it done. If I can't listen online for live, then I can always catch it online. So we're asking you, if you believe in the network with a capital N here at Point of View, would you please give us a call with your pledge of support? 800-347-5151. Looking for 3 more grandparents because we wanted 5 this hour. 1-800-347-5151. Let's get every single line occupied because, guys, we still have the match challenge to take care of as well.
You know, one of the groups we network is one we talked about in the first hour. That is American Values. And, of course, we also heard from Tony Perkins of Family Research. But one of the closest networks we have is with our good friends at the American Family Association.
Yes.
And Tim Wildman quoted today, actually, I think it'll show up tomorrow on USA Today. The digital version came out today. And we have at that time, and that was in the afternoon, and probably the numbers are much larger now, 517,000 people that have actually signed a petition saying that they are going to boycott Target because of their transgender bathroom policy. So again, that's where you're hearing about some of this. Now you finally hear about it on USA Today. Right. We were talking about this a week ago, but nevertheless, we're trying to network with individuals and educate you about what's happening and see if you want to join with some of these actual social movements right now.
You know, it's encouraging to me because that's over 500,000 believers who have joined that petition effort. And that's, Tim says, that's the biggest effort and response they have ever had in the history of the ministry. And so that is encouraging to me that we have people who will stand up at least that far and say, I am not going to shop at Target, and I'm going to tell them why, and I'm going to tell Tim and put my name on that petition.
You know, and it really is where the line is being drawn, because in there they talk about Deutsche Bank has talked about whether or not they'll actually have jobs going to North Carolina. Of course, we know PayPal decided to change their minds about this. Of course, we've talked about Apple and the NBA and NFL and Salesforce and some of the others. And on the other hand, then you have the Christian groups getting involved and the social conservative groups getting involved. And so I think, you know, there's a point where, Brad, you're going to have to choose a side.
You are.
Yeah, saying, well, I'm going to stay neutral. You know, frankly, I wish most of these corporations would just get out of the culture wars. You know, what business does Lowe's or Home Depot or Apple or PayPal or any of these people have in trying to do something that has nothing to do with providing a product or a service?
There is one answer to all of this, and that's the Bible.
Yes.
The Bible. And speaking of the Bible,
oh, there you go.
We have $60 a year or more, that's $1 a day or more, a Bible stick from Faith Comes by Hearing. It fits in the palm of your hand. It's an MP3 player. This is not, people think it's a large thumb drive. It's not.
Yeah.
This is preloaded with the New Testament English Standard Version, dramatized with music, sound effects, dozens of voices in the drama from Matthew to revelation. And this is very easy to use. It comes with the headset. It comes with the earbuds, with the unit and the battery. Everything is ready to go. You plug it in and start listening. You can chapter it. There's little buttons you push to go to whatever chapter you want. It remembers where you stopped listening.
Yes.
It has all these really cool features. We're giving this thing to you for free as a thank you gift. I think it's the coolest thing we've ever done. That's my opinion. 800-347-5151. Join the Truth Team. Could we have 7 of you right now before the top of the hour get on the phones and say, I want to be part of the Truth Team? By the way, send me that free Bible stick as well. Yeah. We'd love to do that. 800-347-5151. 800-347-5151.
I love what you said, too, because if you have children or grandchildren graduating, they always got something in their ears. Might as well have God's Word in their ears,
That's
right?
That's a perfect gift. It's a beautiful gift.
So again, we've never done this before. It comes from our good friends at Faith Comes by Hearing, which is the largest audio Bible organization in the world.
That's correct.
And so you don't have to worry about whether it sounds corny or cheesy or anything like that. It's just extremely well done with music, sound effects, and all the rest. For those of you that give it the higher levels, you can not only receive that, but also we have the 16-ounce tumbler and journal set. People really love this because it's just, great to maybe listen to God's Word, take some notes as you're listening to God's Word, or take notes on some of the things you hear here on Point of View. So again, we are coming to the top of the hour. We want to not leave any money on the table. Like you said, don't want to leave that $50 on that table, that $50 bill. We need to make sure we pick that up, right? And so how do we pick it up? 800-347-5151.
Here's what we're going to do. We'll give you some mercy at the top of the hour, like 5 minutes after.
Sure.
We'll have a little mercy time. So if you get a busy signal, just call right back. Don't give up, guys. We don't want to leave a penny of that matching money on the table. 800-347-5151. That's toll free. 800-347-5151. And it's not hard to give online.
No, it isn't. Pointofview.net and /team, or just go to pointofview.net and you can click on the button that says Join the Truth Team. And I hope you'll be with us all week. Tomorrow we have Michael Ferris with us. We're going to be talking about the judicial appointments. Anybody that's a homeschooler, you were a homeschooler, homeschooled your kids. He will be talking with us in the first hour. Marjorie Dannenfelser will be talking about all the life issues. And so all through the week, we're going to be covering important issues, but we'll be taking some time away from these important issues and guests to once again remind you of how you can join with it. So 1-800-347-5151. Even though we're going to go off the air in less than a minute, you can still call. And if you get a busy signal, because I see everybody's talking on the phone right now, just we'll try to put you in queue. And if not, there's certainly a second way, and that is to go to pointofview.net.
Or just call back in a few minutes. I mean, the call takes 2 or 3 minutes. You don't have to have the money in hand right now. It's 800-347-5151.
That's all we have for today. And so don't forget, we'll have Michael Ferris, Marjorie Dannenfelser tomorrow. I want to thank Andrew, Catherine, and Shamila for their help behind the scenes. Appreciate Brad's work in the studio. We'll see you back here tomorrow.
This is an incredibly important week for Point of View. We need to build our war chest to get us through the election season. This week, we need you to step up and join the team. Just as a political campaign cannot get its message out without donor support, Point of View must have friends like you as we head into the final leg of this presidential race. Imagine Hillary Clinton in the White House. Think of what justices she would nominate to the Supreme Court. The next president is likely going to shape our highest court for several decades, and Point of View wants to provide a biblical perspective of all of the issues in this year's campaign. But we cannot do it, we simply can't, without you. Please step up now as a monthly partner. Click the Join the Truth Team button at pointofview.net and choose your level. Stretch a bit. Or call 1-800-347-5151. Pointofview.net and 1-800-347-5151. 1-800-347-5151. Point of View is produced by Point of View Ministries.